AI is becoming so overpowered that we are using it for the majority of things now. And inside of Notion, AI is becoming even more powerful by the day. So I wanted to see, could we build a full working business system using just AI inside of Notion? And today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. If you're wanting to scale your company using systems and taking that to the next level, then sign up for my newsletter where I'll be able to help you do just that. The first link is in the description. Notion AI is becoming far better than it ever has been before. If you asked me a couple months back of how good it actually was, it wasn't something that I would use every single day. However, now you can use it to build databases, create charts, and also use it inside of your formulas to do things that you probably wouldn't do on your own or that you would spend hours actually doing yourself. So in this video, I am going to go from a blank page to seeing if I can build a working business system using AI. I'm going to have a few rules for this challenge, but I'm not going to make it extreme because I want this to be something that you could genuinely go away into Notion and start building your own systems solely through AI. Because maybe you're not quite at the point that you have all the skills necessary to do that, but you do have the skills to be able to articulate what you're wanting it to do. I guess let's just get started and see how we get on. This is my sort of core functions that I'm wanting to gain or actually do inside of here. And I'm not going to use this whole video to basically be writing down everything inside of AI and getting me to do it. I'm going to use it for the databases and for the formulas and those side of things. I'm still going to do a few of the design features just because I feel at the end of the day, if you're going to be using AI for the design features, you'd probably just rather spend the time actually designing it yourself. But Notion does have the ability to do it. If I even say, can you add a heading one to this page named home, and add a divider underneath it, it's going to be able to do that. It might ask me some questions related to it. It might ask me what I kind of want it to be. It is going to be able to do it. It's going to add that home and then the divider underneath. So you can see right there, it does have the capabilities of creating the text inside of that. But I think that'd be quite a boring video, to be honest with you, of me just typing out everything that's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a page, and this is one I always create for clients, and I basically call it the core. And what the core is where all your databases are going to be stored. If you are someone that's creating linked views of databases, you always want to be using somewhere that you store those actual home bases of the data, just so that in case someone deletes it, then you're not actually deleting it, you're just deleting the linked view of it, and why I always suggest doing an actual database as a full page rather than an inline database inside of Notion. We're going to originally create a database, and in here you've now got the option to build with AI, and they already have some suggestions of like habits and stuff like that. But what I'm going to do is I am going to first build a task one, because I think that's what most people will do, and I'm going to give it as much data as I possibly can. I've got my task one on the right hand side just to give it a little bit more information. Again, it's not anything crazy, and we're not going to build anything that's absolutely mental, but we are going to get started with this to show you what it's capable of. So we're going to start with, can you build me a task database with these functions? And then we're going to lay them out. So we're going to have the name, which is going to be task. We're going to have a checkbox, which is going to be complete. We're going to have a status or a select actually, and we're going to name it priority. And then inside of the priority, have high, medium, and low, so that we can get the sort of thing going with that. We're going to have a date, which is going to be complete by. And then we are going to add a few more later on, but that's going to be the gist of what we're wanting to do. And again, I'm not going to show you everything that I'm going to be doing here. I'll speed up some of the processes and maybe do like a little bit of a voiceover. But as long as I can get you started with understanding how you actually do this and maybe how you speak to it, this is far more about prompts than anything. And this is going to get you sort of moving forward with it. So we've got category, we've got assign to, and we can add those in as well, and we can see incomplete tasks if we're wanting to. So already what you're seeing is we have the ability of the category. It's already added a category. We've already got an add assigned to as well. And I've not done anything. I've not added that. We have simply created all of our task functions with what is actually going on. And inside of here, we've also got a templated database that is filled in for the top 3 areas, because if you know, inside of Notion, you can customize these databases to have things. So if I want maybe the category at the top, and then inside of here, I want the assigned to, then I can add that for all the pages for the template itself. Let's take this a step further. Let's actually add something to this actual database for the template that we're going to be working on. So inside this template, at the top, add a heading 2 with the words steps for task. Underneath, add a divider, then add a checkbox so I can fill in information based on what I need to do. This, again, is just taking that to the next level where I'm not having to do anything here. I'm telling it what I'm looking to do. And if I don't have the capabilities of doing these things, then it's already done it for me. You see steps for task right here. We can add the task, and that gives us the ability to add our template in any way that we want. We've now got, obviously, the task database. That's the one that we've created. Originally, that's what we've got in here. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of these databases that are here. And once we're able to get through them, we're then going to start designing the actual homepage to have some of these things inside of that to see what's going on. We're also going to look at some formulas to see how we actually do that and how we develop that further. So one thing that we might be wanting to do inside of here is relate the databases. Now, I've never actually related databases in here, so we're going to see if Notion has the ability to do that. Are you able to relate databases to this one through AI? So let's see if it actually has the capability of doing that and allowing us to relate databases that we've got. So yeah, it can add the relation property. So we need to just know which database we want to relate to the project and whether it's a one-way or two-way and what you'd like the relation to be named. Let's just go for that to begin with. We're looking for the tasks for YouTube one. That's the one tasks YouTube AI. And we'll just copy this link just so that we can do it. Inside, I want you to create a relation to this page. I want this to be a two-way relation and it to be named tasks in here. So let's see how it gets on with it. It's giving me the steps of what I'm sort of wanting to do, and let's see how we get on with actually getting this actual relation. And there it is right there. You can already see it, tasks that has already been assigned to it, which is genuinely quite crazy. I know some of you might be looking at this and thinking that's not actually that mad, Andy. That's pretty straightforward for what's going on, but considering where Notion AI was a couple months back and just where AI was in general a year ago, you wouldn't really be able to do this. You would have to do it yourself. You would have to understand how you do it yourself, and knowing how to relate databases is a really, really powerful thing in Notion that not many people will do until they get a little bit more into the depths of what's going on. This just gives you that chance to actually see, okay, what are we actually doing? What are we moving forward with? And how can we relate these together? So I've now got the tasks database actually linked. Also going to do is I'm going to see if it can create a roll-up, because what we want to have is we want to, inside of the projects, see the percentage of tasks that we have checked off for this. So again, let's go into the AI and ask, can you create roll-ups inside this database using AI? So let's see how it gets on with that and what it's going to ask us to do in order to build that into it, because you might have a thought in your mind, I would love to see the percentage that I've completed inside of the roll-ups that I'm wanting to do. So, you know, a roll-up is something where you're taking a database relation that you've got and then showing data from that related database itself. Let's see if we can create roll-ups inside of this database for what's actually going on. It's considering a little bit more. It's giving me some results actually. So we'll see what it comes up with, and it's actually updating right now. I did not know what's going on with it, but I think it's because I asked it to actually create roll-ups already, rather than asking, is it actually possible? So this is quite cool, where we've got the task complete percentage and the next due date. Let's see if we can actually get AI to do this as a whole and for me not to touch it. So inside of tasks complete rollup, can we add the tasks database relation, the checkbox function for the complete tab, and then give a percentage of checked boxes to see how far along we are. So again, this is seeing its capabilities. Can we actually do this? Can we relate these databases to modify the roll-up inside of what we're doing? Again, I've not tried to make this anything crazy. You know, I've not tried to make this something that's mental, but we'll see if it actually has the ability to go into the database itself, into the roll-up, and actually create that. So it's going to explain, can't change the rollup aggregation. However, you already have a task complete rollup that does exactly what you described. So what it seems to be able to do is it doesn't seem to be able to actually go into the rollup itself and create it. But what you can do is you would be able to ask the AI itself, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to see the task complete percentage? And this will be able to check that off. So if we're wanting to see that, you'll come into tasks, the property would be complete, and then it would be the percentage checked, and you would be able to see the percentage you've got checked for anything that's directly related to the YouTube channel launch or for any tasks that you actually have. Here it's set up as that sort of area. It does seem like the AI can't currently go into the rollup and get all of these actually changed for what we're looking for. But again, this is where you could use the AI just to help you along the way of knowing what's actually happening. Now, the next thing that I want to show you with this is Notion formulas. If we come in to add a formula property, you'll now see at the top, write, fix, or explain a formula. And when I created a video, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago on this, it had just released, and there were certain things that it just didn't do well. I genuinely think the next day it all changed because I started to use it for more of my formulas just to try and help me fix them a little bit more. And all of them started working. Like all of them, everything that I gave it started working. That could have been my prompting, that could have been something that I was doing, but they all started to work. Obviously, as we've got here, we can really create anything that kind of comes to our mind with this. What we're going to do for this one is we're actually going to use the formula to also show the percentage of tasks complete, just to show you in a different way. Maybe you prefer formulas, maybe you prefer rollups. It really doesn't matter which one you prefer, whichever works best for you. But essentially what we're going to do is inside of this formula, we're just going to explain it. So we're going to get all of the related tasks to this particular property. Inside, count the number of tasks that have been checked off as complete. Pair this to the tasks that haven't been checked off and give me the percentage checked to see how close I am to finishing the overall project. So again, I've not described this in a way that's meant to be so sophisticated. I've genuinely just been thinking this out loud and writing down my thoughts. So we'll see how it gets on. What this formula is doing is it's essentially getting all of the tasks related to this project. So it's looking at the tasks that are from directly in here. It's then going to get the total amount of tasks. So the length of those, how many are there actually there. It's then going to count the complete task by filtering the ones marked as true. Obviously it'll be complete, which is here with the current filtering. And then it's going to complete the percentage of doing so. Now, obviously, if you were to do this yourself, just in kind of you writing the formula, you would probably do less than this. But if you're someone that doesn't want to go and do all the formulas and don't want to try them and don't really care about them, this can be a great way to actually do it. Now, this is actually giving me in a 0 out of 2, task complete 0%, right? So let's go and test this originally and see how we get on. So if we check off this one, because you'll see it's related to the launch, we should now see 50%. But you might be thinking, Andy, I kind of want to see this in more of like a bar chart of 50% complete, and that's how we're getting on. So what you just come back in to do is you say, I want to see this as a number so I can put it in a bar. Then it's just going to do the exact same. So it's going to use the formula that we've got, turn it into a number rather than the text that we're getting right now. And that means I can then change this directly into the bar that I've got just before. So the Notion formulas have become incredible for what they're actually doing, how they function. I have found that sometimes it takes quite a big route in order to get to where it needs to go. At the end of the day, it's following a simple process of what it's doing. And if it gets you the same result, why would you complain about it? I've now got the formulas inside of the projects database. And from here, it's probably about actually just developing all of the databases originally to make sure that they're all working. I'm going to bore you with creating all of these because I've basically done the same thing for all of them. We've got the dates, we've got the call topics, whether it's an important call, the links to the calls and more. And we can just see a sort of calendar of what's going on, asking it to do different views. So predominantly, these all look the same for what is going on. The one that we are going to take a little bit of a step further is a habit tracker. And we're going to have it look a little similar to something like this, where we're actually able to use some formulas to basically compare how we're getting on with the work that we're doing. This is for anyone wanting to build that sort of habit tracker out and actually understanding what's going on. So in this one in particular, if we have something like the gym and you check this off, you then go to 3 out of 4 and 75% of that week. It's essentially looking at the start and end of this week, counting the number of gym sessions that we've completed and comparing it to the result of the aim that we're wanting to get and getting a percentage out of that. We're going to break that down a little bit more for the AI side of things to basically get it working for us. So in order to do that, we're going to create 2 databases. The first one is just going to be generally about the habits. So again, we're going to get through this so that we can see it. This one we are creating for the habits in general. This is the one that we're actually going to put the habits into, and then we're going to create a stats database. Now, inside of Notion, when you are wanting to take a collective number of Notion sort of pieces or things that you're actually doing, you want to create a stats database that essentially relates directly to this. And the reason for that is that means that we can start to create areas where we're looking at all of the 10,000 steps and what date they've been completed, and actually use those to our advantage to get a collective of what's going on. So just like the example I showed you, we can then collect all of the 10,000 steps that you've done in a week and see how many times you've checked that off. Let's go back to the databases and we'll create a new full database, and we'll build this with AI. We've got these 2 that have been added in. A few of them have not really set the way that I've wanted it to, but we are just going to change these because we're going to select 2. We're going to do a reading aim and we're going to do a gym aim. Now, I've not actually added in some of these and I didn't go into too much depth, so I'm just going to change a few of them for what is actually happening. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a few in here that's actually going on. So first and foremost, we're going to add a formula. Now, inside of this formula, it is really just going to be that we want to write the heading that we want to have. As an example, if we come back to our habit tracker that we were shown before, in these headers, these are essentially just headlines of what's actually going on. So you can just copy that style. You could just write this in, and to be honest, with how easy it is to do inside of here, I would probably recommend just doing that. So you would just write style, and then in this space you would do something like your gym aim, and then you would put those in the brackets, and you see that would come in there. You do a comma and you do another one and you would put it into bold, and that just makes the gym aim bold, and it means that every time that that comes up, that's going to happen. So you can definitely use a formula. You know, if we say write gym aim and in bold, it's going to do it, but you could have just spent the time doing the style. It's done the exact same thing as what I've actually done. It's actually took away the caps because I haven't put it in there. So you can change it into the way that you want to. You can do it in any way, but I think if we're getting to that point where we're not actually doing these types of things, we're not even learning. We're not even learning at that point. So we're going to do reading aim as well, so that we have both of those in place. And we'll change this to reading aim, and we'll change this to gym aim, just so that we can have it. So we'll change this to YouTube AI so that we can relate to it and it's easier to actually do. What we're wanting to do in this scenario within the habits tracker is, if we come into the actual stats in the back end of this, we're essentially wanting to relate all of the stats that we're going to do, so all of them that are in the habits that we're completing, into this space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to essentially calculate start and end of the week. We're then going to count the number of gym sessions, compare against the aim that we've got from that particular one, and then see like how we're actually doing with it. So what we first need to do is we actually need to relate the other database, the actual habits database, to this one. So what we're going to name this is the habit tracker. We're actually going to name that the YouTube AI, and now we are going to link them together. So let's again use AI, and we're going to say relate the habit tracker YouTube AI database to this database, make it a two-way relation, name it habit tracker. And we've actually got it. It did manage to get it, which is pretty cool that it was able to do that. What we're doing from this point is we're basically wanting to have a stats area. So this is generally just going to be the stats. We're not going to keep any of these in because we don't really need to. And with these aims, let's just say we want 4 gym sessions a week and 5 reading sessions in that week. What we want to do, every single one that we put into here from now on actually goes directly into the habit stats. So we're going to have 2 templates that we're going to create. And inside of these templates, they are going to be the gym aim, or it's just going to be named gym, and we'll have the other one as reading. Now, what we're going to do for this is we're going to set it to be complete every time that we set it. We're going to have the date to be the day that we've actually done it. it, and we're going to put the habit stats to the stats one that we want to have. It means every time that we actually link this gym one to happen inside of our tracker, then it's going to be for today, we're going to have it complete, and we're also going to link it to the habit stats. Now what we can also do is we can give it a point function. So I'm going to say this is 5 points for the gym, and we're just going to duplicate this, and we're going to do read. Now inside of this one, we're going to give this 3 points just so that we have it, and again it's going to be directly linked to the stats tracker. And what this means is every time we do something new, so obviously this default is just the gym, we're going to have all of this come into play, and inside of the stats you'll now see that the gym is there for what is actually going on. Now what we want to do from this point is we want to create a formula to basically compare the number of gym that we have in that week and seeing how many we've completed compared to how many our aim actually is, and from that point give us some sort of text to basically say, 3 out of 4 gym sessions, keep going. So let's do that with AI formula. We come into the formula and we start to write. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is, I'm not going to lie, as I was editing this, I just felt this is so pointless to sit and watch me type out my thought process. So I'm just going to skip to the end and you'll see what the text is. And if you want the text, then you'll be able to see it. We'll start with this. And again, this is something that you would probably work on over time. What we're currently doing is calculating, obviously, the start of the current week. We're getting the Sunday being the end of this current week. We're then filtering it for the gyms. So only counting the times with the start and the end of the week that contain the gym. And then from this point, we're getting if it is true or not. So if the complete is actually true. Then we're going to create the results message. So basically it's going to format the date. It's empty. We're going to set a gym aim first. So it's going to tell us you've not got an aim, so you need to do that. And if we've achieved it, then success, you've got your goal. And if you haven't, then keep going. You need X amount of sessions to actually do it. So it's telling us right now 1 out of 4 gym sessions complete, and this is what we're looking to do. So we've obviously got September the 8th to the September the 14th. You've got 3 more sessions to go. Keep going. And that is the message that it's given us. So it's a little bit of a longer message than I would want to, but that's okay. I'm not actually too bothered by that. What I'm also going to say is that if we have reached the goal, put text in green and bold. If not, red and bold. And again, this is just working with it over time to use the formula to help us actually get what we're looking to do. It's just giving us a little bit of an additional style if we're wanting to actually have it. So you'll see now it's going to tell us to keep going. You need 3 more sessions based on this week and giving us that information for that side of things. What we're going to do is we're going to put this as the gym formula, and then we're going to copy this. And inside of this, we're going to have the read formula. So what we're going to do is use the same formula, change the gym to read, and change the gym aim to read aim. And this should be able to understand what we're trying to do, and that it should be able to change the words around for the reading sessions and the number of things that we're trying to do with that. So now it's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to look for the reading inside of that. But what I actually see is if we look at the current habit, you'll now see it's actually saying reading rather than read. So this is where having a little bit more knowledge on what's going on can be really good, because if we come back to our area here, right, and we actually change this, let's change this default to read. If I add the read in, you'll see this is obviously going into the stats. But if we come to the area here for this session, you can see there's still 0 out of 5 reading sessions. Now the reason for that, and the reason this has changed to 2, is because what we're looking for in the formula is we're essentially looking for how many of this particular one from the habits has been complete. So what you'll notice, if I actually change this to read, we're now going to see that's changed to 1 out of 5. And that gives us the ability to change that formula and have it work in the way that we're looking to actually have it function. Now, again, if we add a few more in, let's go back to the read area and we'll add 5 in so that we actually complete it, and we'll see that it's working for what we're wanting to do. We've now got success. You reached your weekly reading goal. That's exactly what we're looking to have. We want to understand if these formulas are actually working, and it gives us the ability to do so. Right, we've went quite a fair bit in depth with these things, but we've now got all of the basis down for the actual core functions of the database. It would now be about designing all of these to make them work in the way that you wanted to. Now, I'm going to use AI as much as I possibly can, and I'm just going to design the homepage for what's going on, so inside the actual build itself. And then from there, you could build out all of your different pages for what's going. But I really do want to test the format of AI inside of this and see what we're capable of doing. What I'm essentially wanting to build is some sort of home base that looks good and actually functions quite good. Use as little as my manual work as possible when it comes to this. So what we're first going to do is we're going to try and see how much we can build in terms of just a design functionality inside of here for the actual home base itself. So let's see what we can do. What we've done with this one is we've asked it to create inside of the home base an area just like this, where we've got the menu and the overview as two callout blocks for what's going on. Now, the only thing that it wasn't able to do was actually put the divider underneath the menu itself to kind of separate those, but it's not really the end of the world what's actually going on. And this is creating our home base and building block of the home base with what's happening. Now, I'm actually going to ask the AI, can you pull linked views of databases into these pages? Because I would love to be able to see if we can actually pull linked views of databases into here. It can actually bring in those databases for what we're wanting to do. So what I'm going to have it actually try, going to bring in my task database. So I'm going to copy the link to this page just because I think it will be easier for it to do, and try to add in the task database for a filtered view of it that only has non-completed tasks and tasks that need to be complete by this week. So let's see if it's possible. So what I've got here is I'm trying to bring in a linked view of the task database that's filtered to only tasks that are not checked as complete, and also that they complete by date as this week. And then I also want it in ascending order based on the date complete. Again, let's see if it's able to bring in that database as a whole, and if we can get it in the way that we're actually looking to view this database for what's happening. It doesn't seem to be able to bring it in just yet, or it doesn't seem to be able to actually get in the linked view in. I'm unsure if it's actually going to be able to do it. It says the linked view of the task is under and created of this week incomplete. So if we come into, actually it did actually create it inside of the tasks database. So what we've got, the complete is not checked, and where the start date is on 1 week ago or 1 week from now. So it's followed the rules, and we've also should have the complete by and ascending. So it actually was able to do it. It just didn't bring it in directly into this page for what we were wanting to do. Because now what we would do at this point is we would just do / linked view of data source, and we'd do the task to YouTube AI, and then we would bring in this week's incomplete. So that means we have all of those there for what we're wanting to do, and we can put those in the overview for what we're actually looking to build. And this just gives us that ability to kind of see what's going on and what we're looking to actually develop with this, which is kind of crazy that we were able to create that solely from just the AI of us writing, like, this is the view that we want to see, and this is the stuff we're actually wanting to have done. I've had to shoot this video in like 3 different shots all throughout the day because I've had meetings in between, but we're going to do a few more things just to show off kind of what this is capable of doing and sort of what we're looking to do. So one, we're going to add a chart to this page, and then add buttons to this page as well for a specific function. Can you create a chart for the stages of priority for the tasks this week? And we'll see how it gets on with this. Again, we are just being able to test here, and what we're trying to do is actually see how well the Notion system itself can allow you to not think as much about what you're doing, but actually just allows you to create the system without being some sort of designer in that front. Now, it's not to say that you have to be a wizard to actually create something in Notion, but I know for people that have never done this before, they might not be able to do it technically themselves, but being able to describe what they want, that could give them the building blocks of actually doing it. And that's essentially what I'm trying to show here. So you can see this week's priority, it's in a bar chart for what we actually got going on, counting the level of priority, which is great. You know, if we put a few tasks in here and we just put the level of priority as high, and then we'll put this one as medium, we should be able to see, yeah, exactly of what comes into play. So the final thing that we're going to try and add into here is actually the habits database, and kind of showing off what's going on inside of the actual habits themselves. So for the stats, what we're kind of wanting to see is we're wanting to have like the gym aim at the top. We're wanting to have the number of times that we've completed it in that week, and then just the gym formula of what's going on. So let's just test this and see how we get on with it. So we are creating another one, just basically saying, using the habit stats, I want you to create a linked view and a gallery view showing the gym aim, which is the GA, the gym aim, and then the gym formula. So that should sort of give us the 3 three sort of settings that we're wanting to do, and then we're going to create a button to basically add one onto the actual tracker itself, so that when we click the button, then we're going to be able to do it. Again, these are all things that I'm probably doing for the first time. Some of the formula stuff I've already done, but this is just giving us an insight as to what is actually possible and what we can do with it. It does seem that when we use the links directly to the area of like the habits, it struggles a little bit more with it. I'm not sure why that's the case, but it does seem to be something that it struggles slightly with of actually creating, and maybe it's better to actually just use the in quotations, this is the one that we're pulling it from. Might also be the case that because we don't have a linked view in here of what's been complete, then it's having some problems pulling it if we're using it directly from just the build rather than taking it from the page that we're looking to take it from. What I actually done inside of here is it created a by status of kind of looking at all the status of what's going on with all of them split between the things that they were doing. So obviously if we were to add something in here with the gym aim, the gym formula, and then GA, you'd be able to create this the way that you kind of want to. Obviously these all show the gym because this is based on the stats. So you could simply add that one into here of a linked view. You know, you could add that, we'll get the habit stats, and we'll just add the by status. And what we'll do is we'll only show one of them. So we'll only show the one that's in the gym. So we'll hide them all and we'll just show the gym side of things. So that's what we get. Again, this is just giving you that easy way to fill those in with what we're doing. So the final one that we're going to do then is actually the button. And in this button, we are going to create using the template tracker for it. What we want that button to do is basically add one onto the gym. So in the habits tracker, adding the gym one in for today's date and then completing it off so that it adds it to this stats. And we're able to see that we've actually completed one more that we could do in here. So what we've done is we've just asked it to create a button in this page doing the following: adds a database to the habit tracker YouTube AI and then uses the template, the gym. So we'll see how well it can follow creating buttons themselves. We've just used the quotations for the actual databases that we're using. We'll see how well it's able to pull that information. What we're wanting it to be able to do here is for these gym sessions, basically adding one more gym session onto this so that we can start tracking it. It might not be something that it's too capable of doing right now. Maybe you have to go a little bit more back and forth than what I'm doing. What I'm essentially trying to show is Notion's current capabilities. If you're just normal and kind of wanting to put down some of your thoughts, where I've saw best results is for things like the formulas. That's where I've saw a lot of the benefit for it, or even just creating initial databases. But it says that it doesn't really have the tools to create buttons just now. So what we are going to do just is create the button. And that's the great thing as well. It will tell you step by step of what you kind of need to do. You know, so even if we follow this, we're inserting the button. So you'll do /button, you'll add the database. You're going to add a page to the habits tracker for what we're doing, and we're just going to select the gym. And then from here, you know, you're selecting the gym, confirm to save, and that's us all good to go. We're actually going to just rename this as well, gym, so that we've got that. And then if we click this should go up to 3, which, yeah, it does it just there. I know we've got some of the status in here that's going on, but this is such a good way of just seeing what's going on and what we've actually got happening. Now, this was a sort of full breakdown of Notion itself and what it's capable of doing. There is genuinely really a lot that the AI has pushed forward with, and I know as I'm building that, there's definitely things that I wouldn't use the Notion AI for, or that would be more beneficial. I see it being used far more for searching inside of your Notion and having specific areas that you're using it for, especially inside of the formulas. That's where it's been really powerful for me and clients that I've used it for. Even as a starting point, if you're someone that's really new and you want to understand a little bit more in Notion and you want AI to help you, this is such a great way of actually trying it. I want to ask you if you've actually used Notion AI so far and what your thoughts have been on it. Do you think it's been powerful? Do you think it's been worthless and not actually adding anything to it? I'd be curious to know. If you're wanting to scale your business with systems and you're wanting to learn more about that, I've got a full newsletter that you can grab down below in the description. You're going to get some freebies as well and templates that you can use for your own business to scale it further. I know the video on the screen will be something you'll love to watch, and I'll see you there.